Hope you're well this evening. It's Thursday once again, and thank you so much for tuning in to the live feed. I'm your host, Godwin Mamio, and it's always great to have you watching us on our Facebook Live. Now, tonight is no different to every other night we've had, where we ensure that we go out, we find the best of the best. We speak to people within the African space who are doing big things, who are doing great things, and tonight we have with us the one and only Coach Leonard Nhamburo. Leonard, good evening.
Good evening to you, Goodwin, and good evening to everyone.
How's things going your side this evening?
No, not bad, man. Yeah, things are good. We're just coming off the game. We had a game in the morning, so we had to wait and see the other games. Then we're just relaxing now.
Fantastic. And how's that gone? You know, the results obviously didn't go your way earlier today. How are you feeling about that?
No, it's winning is always sweet, but today, since this tournament, we have qualified for the semi-final, so it was a chance to give these other French players also a taste of how international cricket is. So I think, look, we had to change the squad and rest some of the other players so that they can prepare for the semi-final tomorrow.
Look at us, we've dived straight into the detail. We're talking all about the cricket and the match. But yeah, for all the viewers who just tuned in, we're chatting to Leonard. Leonard is the coach of the Rwanda ladies cricket team. And he's made some time, squeezed us in, and he's chatting to us here tonight from his base in Rwanda. And as you've just heard, the ladies just had a match today and they narrowly lost out by 25 runs. But it looks like the coach still has a smile on his face as they still have a semi-final match tomorrow. So now, Leonard, everyone talks about Leonard, the Rwanda coach, and people forget about Leonard, the guy who came out of Glenview, if I'm not mistaken. Now, what a journey. Now you find yourself in Rwanda. Oh, how do you feel when you think back and look back at those times from Glenville?
It's even myself, I'm actually surprised or don't believe that I'm actually here doing this. Because even when I started this cricket journey, I think I never planned for this. You understand? It was just something I was doing because I was involved in cricket. So my main goal was to make sure that players from where I started playing my cricket in Glenview, I develop them so that they can compete at the highest level and change their lives. That was my plan. But coming to where I am now is something that I didn't plan. I think it's just something that came through along the way. So every step I took forward, it was to me, something that I'm like, oh, look, I can actually do this. So I was like now telling me myself that I have been at that level. How can I make myself better to get there? Because I never thought that I can be someone who can be coaching at this level and being involved in cricket at this level, especially outside the country of my birth, you understand, and outside even the Glenview way I was raised and where I was groomed to play the cricket. I never thought I could be there. I could be here. So I think it's just God's grace, that comes in the way.
I love that. And to him be all the glory, as you rightfully mentioned. Now, when just to give everyone context who watches this video and who's watching live with us now, when people hear Glenview is a suburb in Harare, and what's cricket like in Glenview?
No, cricket in Glenview is good, and it's it has been there for quite some time. A lot of cricket playing people right now, even that they've played in the past, most of them they've passed through Glenview. Because if you look at, if you need to go deep down, I would try to come up with a few names there if I still remember. There we have got a lot of guys that came through the Glenview setup. When cricket started to be introduced in high density areas. I think if you look at even the former national team coach by then, Mangongo, I think everyone knows him. He did his high school education in Glenview #1 school before he got his scholarship to Prince Edward. If you look at people like, I would try to remember the name, but a lot of guys have come through the Glenview setup and then they migrated to other areas. You understand? So it's quite an area that is good. A lot of development players. Even if you look at some players that are featuring in the franchise, the national team, both men and women's, look, a lot of them have got a Glenview background. So it's a place that is also known for producing cricket players, and we've got a lot of people that are also scattered across the world, even in South Africa, that are doing well again in terms of coaching, in terms of playing. So I can really say it's a place whereby it's good in terms of producing players. And even if you go back to the Harare setup league, I think almost every team that plays in the first league, you will find more than 3 or 4 players in their first 11. So basically that shows you what kind of an area is that.
Now, I know you didn't just wake up and become a coach one day. Do you have any background playing the game yourself? And how did you land up in coaching itself?
It's my background in terms of cricket. It's quite surprising. I'm not someone who played competitive cricket at the highest level, to be honest. Whereby we're talking about provincial cricket, we're talking about first class cricket. I'm not someone who came through that system. I think the time that we were young, those days it was not easy to make those sides. So you had to choose. Now, which one should you take? Should you continue playing? Because I think the time that we were playing, I think I finished my high school in '97. So after that time, look, if you look back in cricket in Zimbabwe during that time, it was not easy to make it in the national setup or even in the provincial, even the club. Sometimes it was not easy to make a club side. So we just say to ourselves, let's have our own things that we can do. Then my first option was, okay, fine. I didn't make it up there as a player. You understand? So how should I give back to the game in the area? So then I said, okay, fine. Let me go back into coaching. And by then, Zimbabwe Cricket offered courses. You understand? Then I attended the courses. I passed. Then from there, I got employed by Zimbabwe Cricket as a development coach, and I coached in Glenview. I think I started coaching there since in 1998. That's when I started coaching there. Then as a volunteer coach, I think in 98, 99, I became a full-time coach. From there, I just started coaching the youngsters from there. So in terms of playing, like I said earlier on, to be honest, I didn't get the opportunity to play up that level. But that did not stop me now to say, in as much as I did not make it up there, I cannot also develop and coach other people and also coach at that level. No, it didn't stop me. I kept on working hard to further my cricket coaching qualifications and to get myself exposed in any other system, from development going all the way to first class, to national team women's, and I think I came through all the processes from age cricket, from under 11, going through graduating all the way to under 19. I think that also helped me to be where I am, because there was no shortcut there. I came through all the processes until up to here. I think that also played a bigger part in terms of covering the gap of me not having played international cricket. And also the other thing that I would also want to also that contributed big time in my career to be where it is when those teams visit a touring side, let's say if they visit your country, you get involved sometimes being in the changing room, as in changing room attendant, sometimes being a liaison officer, you understand. So I think that gave me an opportunity to meet the best players. You understand? Let's say you have India have come to you, you are with India, you are in their team, you are in their changing room, you are in their meeting, whatever that these guys are discussing, you are there, you are hearing the best discussing. So I think that also played a bigger part. I think the team that I did not get exposed to from all the teams that play test in one day, I think it's only England. You understand? Because of whatever that is there, they've never taught them anything. But all these other teams, I have been with them. All these other top coaches, all these other top players, I've rubbed shoulders with them in the changing room. And people will be like laughing, no, look, guy, this guy is in the changing room. You know what happens? He's picking water bottles from this and this, and people take it as something that is, what can I call it? It's something that is low class. But to myself, I just said, where am I going to meet a player like MS Dhoni? Where am I going to meet a coach like Mickey Arthur? You understand? Where am I going to meet a coach like Dave Duatmo or, these international coaches, where Russell Domingo, where am I going to meet him? I'm sitting with him, sharing coffee with him. So I said to myself, I'll have to try to get the best out of these guys. I will ask questions, how do you guys do it at this level? You understand? Then it helped me big time to be where I am. And even some of these guys, even right now, I speak to them. You understand? And some of them are actually happy to see me going. You understand? So it's not about you having played international cricket that makes you a good coach. It's all about how you understand the game. You understand, and how you do about your things when you are working. So I think that also played a bigger part because I got exposed to the best. I think it took me 4 or 5 years being involved with those guys. You understand? So it's something that if someone gets that chance, instead of taking yourself as someone who's low, you need to learn from them. I'm telling you, India, where are you going to meet India? Where are you going to sit closer to Kohli and ask him how does he do about this betting? Where are you going to meet someone like Jeff Duwana to talk about how he's going to do his betting? You understand? So things like that, if you get that opportunity, I think you use it to your advantage. You get exposed to it. So that's what I did to myself to be where I am. You understand? If you play around with the best, you also become the best.
Wow, I absolutely love it. And I love your story. And, it's when the team came up with your name, I was so excited to say, look, this is definitely someone we need to be speaking to. Like you've rightfully said, you've worked through the age group cricket, you've gone through all those stages, and you've headed up Zimbabwe under 19 cricket. Even I think it was 2014, you were involved there. You've done Zimbabwe women's cricket, and you've gone assistant coach, you've gone to become head coach. You've gone outside, you've gone beyond, you've gone to Namibia. Now you find yourself in Rwanda. And, everyone talks about coaches being great players when they played, but I find that sometimes it's not the greatest player who automatically becomes the best coach. We go outside of just cricket, we look at football. Jose Mourinho himself was not a top footballer, but look at what he's done in the coaching space. So big ups to you, hat off to you, and we love the work that you're doing. We absolutely love it. And Rwanda's got so much more supporters now that you are there from Zimbabwe rooting for them. Now, that is an interesting story for me. How have you ended up in Rwanda?
How I ended up in Rwanda is, when I was with Namibia, then when my contract expired, then they did not renew. You understand? And this team, they advertise, like, we are looking for a coach, you understand, blah, blah. Then when they appointed a coach, I think around about last year in August. So a lot of people now started asking me questions. Are you no longer in Namibia? Then I'm like, yes, I'm no longer in Namibia, I'm in Zimbabwe. What are you doing in Zimbabwe? I'm like, no, I'm sitting. I'm not doing anything. And I was not doing anything anyway. So people just keep track. Then around about October, November last year, that's when I got a WhatsApp message from the Rwanda cricket president. He was like asking me, he was always following me. So he said, no, you got my number from the Namibian manager. Because he asked if I was still with Namibia. Then they said, no, he's not, he's now. Then he said, okay, fine, we are looking to develop our ladies team. But they used to have one coach coaching all the teams. You understand, Martin Suji was doing everything. So he said, no, we are Rwanda, we are a growing nation. So we're looking to develop our women's. And so far, our women's look stronger. So we need someone who has got international taste and who has been there. So we have been looking and following you. Then we saw you that you're not, Namibia has employed another coach, which means you are not doing anything. So if you are interested in becoming part of our setup, this is what we are offering you in terms of the wage and whatever. So you decide and you come back to us. So you understand. So I think then from there we were just chatting. I think that during that time I got back into the Zim setup with the provincial team, the Women's Eagles. I was with that team. That time I was coaching them, you understand? So we would be chatting, and these guys would have been following those games anyway. So when they see because I was with the Eagles performed better, and they won the T20. Then these guys said, no, look, we have got a T20 tournament that are coming in. And this guy, if we look at his record, especially in the T20s, has been making it good. So let's please speak to him a lot. Then they started we started chatting. Then they gave me the contract. I got through the contract, you understand? Then I had a contract with the Zim Cricket anyway for 3 months until December. So I told them to wait. So when December ended, then, you know, I was now not attached to anything. So I even asked the guys in Zim that if they've got something for me to offer, but at that time they said, no, we will discuss later on through the year 2021. Then I was like, no, look, I'm not going to work. My family needs to survive. So I contacted these Rwandan people back. Then I agreed on a contract. Then the next thing is I know the 2nd of January, I'm in Rwanda. You know, it just happened like that because they found me. In fact, I didn't find them. Then because they said, no, we looked at what you have achieved as a coach at that level and your experience. So if you come here and you become part of our setup, then I think you will help even our women's in Rwanda cricket in general to grow. So that's how it happened. Then I ended up here in Rwanda now. Look how the team is also performing now. I'm starting to hear even them saying, look, with the 3-4 months that you have been here, there are some areas that we've seen that even your track record, this is what we know you for, and this is what the team is doing now. So which means there is some changes, and I'm actually happy that even if you see people coming to you and saying, look, we have never been doing this, but now we are actually doing it. So that shows that there is something that I have got also that I am offering to them. And I'm also looking forward, at least during my tenure, to make sure that if I'm going to leave, I have to live here when they are the best.
Fantastic. You know, I love that. You are not only a good coach, but you're a man of principle. You know, you walked out your whole contract with Zimbabwe Cricket before you left. And I'm sure it's a big blow. You've been someone who's been a part of the Zimbabwe Cricket coaching setup for over 20 years. And to see you go is a big loss. And, you know, you've just done so well with the Eagles ladies in the 2020s. And I know when the poster was out, there was quite a few messages going out. Oh, yeah, this is my coach. And, you know, I saw Michelle Mtongava saying, this is my coach. You know, she's shouting. And I'm sure there are lots of gaps that you've left, you know. And look, we can go on and chat for very long on that aspect. But for me now is, so going to Rwanda, when you compare what you're now exposed to now in Rwanda in comparison to where you were with the women's game here in Zimbabwe, what would you say is the biggest difference between the two?
I think the biggest difference now between Rwanda and Zimbabwe is like, look, it's all about the structures. It's all about the structures that these guys have got, which you know, Zimbabwe they're tested as way big, so which means their structures are still up there. But here now in Rwanda, people are starting to get the structures in place, and everything is moving in the right direction. And you know, even if you give them, from what these guys are doing now, I tell you, if you give them a year or so, there will be a force to reckon, because what the structures that are there and the plans that are there now, and they've started implementing a lot of things, a lot of changes, which means these guys, they put focus and they want to be the best in Africa. And I think with what they are doing and the goals that they've set for themselves and the support that these guys are getting, I'm telling you, give them 2 years, they will be a team to reckon. So that is going to be the difference between them and Zim. And if you look at like the team that I'm working with, the structures, the women's, I think they've got a lot of youngsters. Even the team that I've got now, I think of the squad of 18 that I've got, probably maybe 5, I think they are above 25 and not more than 29. The rest are 19 and up to 15. So that really shows you now where the future is. Because if you've got 6, 7, 15, 16-year-olds in the national side competing at that level and winning games, so what more in the next 5 years when these guys are mature? You understand? So you watch the space in the next 2-3 years. I'm telling you, those guys will be up there.
I'm excited already. Just listening to you speak, I'm so excited. I'm buzzing and certainly cannot wait. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've just tuned in, we're chatting to Coach Leonard Nhamburo, the head coach of the Rwanda ladies cricket team. And, you know, I won't go through his coaching track record. He's coached for 20 years and the work he's done is phenomenal. A true asset in Zimbabwe, but has now plied his trade in Rwanda. We've reached that time, ladies and gentlemen. Please pop in your questions, anything you want to ask Leonard. This is your chance to ask him any question that you may have, cricket or outside of cricket. It's all entirely up to you. Now, Leonard, while everyone types in their questions and people have things to say, I've been looking through the chat as we've gone on, and it sounds like there's been quite a few of your students come through and chat here. We've got Jenna Maponga, who also said he's from Glenview, and it's amazing just to see that and to see the sort of support that you have. Now, through your coaching journey, what would you say has been your biggest challenge?
What I can say, the biggest challenge, I think, when I took Namibia, I think, in 2019, being the first time to coach outside your country, and that's a foreign national team, you understand, and guys are expecting, you understand, results, and it was my first time. I think that was the challenge. Look, I had 2-3 months with them, and we are going to a major competition, and guys, results are always crucial. So I think that was the biggest challenge for me, to think how best can I understand the players first. I put short time with them, and look, that is not my own country, and how best can I understand their system and whatever, and to get the best results. I think that was the best challenge for me as a coach so far. But with what happened there, I think the things that I planned and we planned with them, I think it worked well, and the support that I got there, it worked well, and you saw the results there of how they performed. And even up to now, I think it's whatever that these guys are doing, 1 or 2 things that they're doing, I think I played a bigger part. I think that's what I said is the most. It's not easy to work outside your country. You understand? Because this is result oriented. So you know what I'm talking about. It's not easy, like what people think. You understand? So you need someone, 1, who's principled, 2, someone who plans, 3, someone who's got objectives. You understand those things, and how you need to achieve whatever things that you have set for yourself. And we are talking about a country. You understand? I'm not talking about a club in Zimbabwe. We're talking about a national team. And me being there, you understand, a lot of the people in that country be asking, how can these guys employ someone outside? Are we not good enough? So which means there's a lot that is expected from you. Because you're coming from what? You're coming from something. Also coming from a country like Zimbabwe, whereby you are known as it's a cricket nation. So which means people expect a lot from you. They expect to learn a lot. So that will be a challenge. So it's not easy coaching outside, as people think. So I think that was my biggest challenge in terms of my coaching career. I'm not saying here I'm not challenged. I'm also challenged, but now with the experience, now I now know how to handle things. You understand?
Phenomenal. And I love how you're making strides in the women's game. We need to see the women's game grow, and especially here in Africa. The work you're doing is absolutely fantastic. Now I'm looking through here. I've got Facebook, I've got Zoom, I've got a few questions going on here. So I'll work through and see what I can go on and ask you in this period that we still have here. Now, it says here, what advice would you give a young player in Rwanda?
I think it's all about one commitment. You understand? Commitment. Be committed to the game, and also I think, and also working hard as well. When you've got people that are guiding you, whatever advice they're giving you, you follow that advice, and you try it, and you become the best. It's all about commitment, and also dedicate yourself to the game. Cricket is not something that can be done overnight. Cricket is a process, so you also need to be patient. Sometimes things may not go your way. You must not give up. Keep on working hard until you get better. When your time comes, things will just start flowing. So it's all about working hard and being patient, and listen to advice to whoever who's advising you in all the areas. That's what I can say to them.
And I love that you've just said that, because I'm looking here in the Facebook chat, and there's Ronald Tapera, who's just said that you're one of Zimbabwe's most valuable in cricket, and Zim won't accept that. Now look at God. So look, hats off to you. There's people recognizing you and seeing the impact that you've had in Zim, which now, Leonard, yeah, I can hear you now. Now, just going on from there, as a coach, you're now coaching the Rwanda ladies, and you obviously have aspirations for the ladies as things stand. But in your personal capacity, as I want to say a young, because you still look 21 to me, a young African coach, what are you aiming for in the next 4 or 5 years to come, just for yourself?
I think just to one, what I'm aiming for, like look, I'm here. If the team manages to perform with all the qualifiers coming in, obviously that is one of my goals, to make sure that these guys, they qualify. If whatever happens, qualifying or not, also, understand, I need to at least see them playing competitive cricket, you understand, and also having individual players featuring in other leagues across the world, you understand, so that they, at least if they go and play there, they're exposed. When they come home, the system here even becomes stronger. And also to see a lot of players in Rwanda playing cricket and make it the number one sport in the country. I think during that period, if that happens, I would have achieved also one of my biggest goals in terms of developing the game in Africa.
Very inspiring stuff there from you, Leonard. And just in hearing you say that, it just shows how much of a rounded person and how you're looking at the bigger picture, which is absolutely phenomenal. And hats off to you once again. Now, you're sitting in Rwanda, like you said, you've got your challenges there. What do you miss the most about being away from Zimbabwe?
The first thing that you miss, obviously, is the family and the people that surround you. And when you move outside, the environment is different. You have to adjust. You understand? So the adjustment part is something that. But look, I've been there before. Now I know how to do. But those are some of the things that you can always think about. But when it comes to other things, like when you are a coach, I think our jobs is one day you are here. The next day you're there, the next day you're there, you understand? So it's something that you have to adjust, and something that you need to also live with. Because look, like I said earlier on, look, this is what we are now in June. I'm gonna probably go back home in December. So during this period, you are here, and these guys that are here are now your family. You understand? So it's something that we just need to adjust, and we move on with that. So I cannot really say I miss a lot of something there because of the nature of the job. I have to adjust.
Okay, so I'm going to take one more question. We're running out of time here. I'm going to squeeze it in. It's a question here from Ronald Tapera, and he says, would you say you would continue navigating through poor Africa and its problems, developing cricket, or would you take a career advancing decision and step outside Africa and explore further? And he says after the Rwanda assignment.
Why is he saying after the Rwandan time? What if it doesn't end? I'm actually I haven't thought about that a lot. I'm just focusing on what is happening here and right now. You understand? If whatever happens, let's say if the time comes, if I'm gonna continue, I'm looking forward to that. If I don't know, like I said, we move here and there, you never know. But what I say to myself, you talked about me being young. I just say to myself, if I get to around about 45 there, I think I've got 5 years left now. If I get there, maybe I would want to put coaching aside and focus on something else. Then if I'm going to come back, maybe I'll come back at a later stage. The boys, I've got 3 boys there now. I need to spend time with them. So I just given myself 5 years from now.
That's not the news we want to be hearing. We feel you've got so much to offer still within the cricketing space, and I'm sure you'll get to 45 and you'll rethink that we hope. But look, our time is working against us. It always just flies through so quickly, and I think we've just gotten started, but boom, that time is up. But Leonard, thank you so much for joining us and just for chatting to us. You know, it's absolutely amazing that you've taken time out, you've done that, you know, you've just had a match in the day, but you've still come out and spoken to us. So thank you very much for making time to come and chat to us. And above that, us, and I'm sure everyone else is watching this, and our fans of Rwanda cricket, as long as they're not playing against Zimbabwe, we are fans, we are shouting for you, and we really want the best for you on your side.
Oh, thank you very much. No, that's very much appreciated. We need your support. Keep supporting us. You understand, we are one family at the end of the day. We are Africa, so we all want the same thing. So thank you very much for that.
Cheers there. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Leonard Nhamburo, the head coach of the Rwanda ladies team. Keep an eye out for them. Like you heard him say, you know, young team, so much to do and so much potential coming out of there. With the qualifiers later on in the year, in November, I think it is, we definitely are expecting fireworks from his team, alongside Zimbabwe, of course, and looking forward to seeing how that comes through. But from my side, the clock's worked against us. It's time up, but we hope to see you again here next week. If you haven't checked out our website, check it out on www.africasportsconsultancy.com. Keep watching the space, same time, same place next week. Keep looking after yourselves and your loved ones. Masks up, sanitize those hands, and see you then.